I remember telling my mum very quickly. I remember once we had our diagnosis, kind of telling her that they thought there was something wrong with his heart, which, you know, I think was the first time I said it, which was quite difficult. She was very positive. I think my mum and dad are quite bad for the whole Google thing, so I think that maybe worried them a little bit.
I think when you're telling other people what they need to know is how it is going to affect Evan. So roughly what's the problem, what surgery might he need, how does recovery look, how might his life look if it's going to be any different at all because of the condition he's got.
I couldn't really speak to tell many people, so I did a lot of it through text message, and I wanted people to know, but I didn't sort of want to tell them because, like I say, I think a lot of it was denial, and I knew that nobody would know what to say to you or how to respond to you, and they didn't, because I mean, you're telling somebody that your baby's got a heart condition and they're going to need open heart surgery, and like heart condition, open heart surgeries are quite big words out there when you don't use them or you've not experienced any of it.
When we first told family and friends, it was just because it was so much to take in in a short amount of time.
I don't know if we told them straight.
Didn't tell parents, but anybody really straight away, did we? We were just sort of letting it all sink in, and then once it had sunk in, then we just we were there by ourselves a lot of the time. And then when families eventually did come, then that's when we broke the news. Families, luckily the ward that we were on was right near where everyone was eating, and it was the cafe, so everyone was there, and then that's where we told them, really, basically.
I think we first had to digest the information ourselves. Everybody knew that we were at the hospital, but again, because I don't think people expected that Harry needed surgery that quickly, certainly the staff hadn't either, so we needed to comprehend all of that information ourselves. So we allowed ourselves that time, not a huge amount of time, but you know, have that cup of tea, talk about it, let it sink in, because sharing that information and how you tell that message, not to instill panic in others, I think was quite important for us to do. And we, I guess, installed, not subconsciously, but an inner circle. So we told parents and our close friends and asked them to cascade that message out, so we weren't having to repeat it loads of times, and also it minimised the information that we were getting back. So we had a way of controlling the information that was coming to and from us, really.
I think the difficulties we found when we were telling people was just perhaps because they were always wanting to reassure you and everything's fine, everything's positive, they perhaps themselves weren't acknowledging the situation was quite as serious as it was. And I think, you know, a little learning can lead them up the wrong path. So they might know someone who has had another heart condition, and then the child didn't need surgery for years, and they say, oh, it'll be like that, it'll be fine. You know, you can live till you're 50 with this kind of condition and you'll be fine. And actually having to bring them back and say, that's fine for them, but no, for Evan, it's not. He's going to have operations, and making sure that they have a better grounding and a base of reality of what is actually going on.
I think just in general, the public's perception of heart conditions is quite limited, and so we kind of came across that saying, no, actually this is different, and you know, not necessarily more serious or less serious, but it's just a different condition that which you try to have to explain to somebody and explain to people.
Initially, it was very hard to tell people that Harry needed the surgery, because you don't know yourself and you can't give people all of the answers. And I think at that point he hadn't had the surgery, so people want to know that he's better, and you know you're going to have to be telling people again and having the same conversations, and potentially difficult conversations.
After I'd initially told people through text message, and then seeing them and getting past that first few days where it's all a big, because obviously you just cry for quite a long time. In fact, I just remember the second half of my pregnancy with Isabella were just really, really emotional and really upsetting. But yeah, it definitely helped to speak to people, more like people that had experienced, and I know that, like I say, the families that I've spoken to, that I'm in touch with, speaking to them helped a lot. It was more hope seeing that the older children.
I found it was a lot easier to share news with people when you find out everything. It's almost to get it off your chest. As a dad, I just wanted to try and keep everything on a calm, and you know, try and make sure Amy's all right, make sure everything's all right at home, and then for me to be able to talk to people, talk to friends and family, was I don't know, a bit of a release really. You could let a little bit out.
We did find it helpful to share the news with family and friends, just because you know you've got that love and that support around you, but not having the bombardment, and that's why it's important for us to control that information. So we didn't feel smothered, but we knew people were there if we needed them. So it did help to share.
I think not at all. I think, again, like you said, you might know, a few people might have said, oh yeah, a nephew of mine had a hole in the heart, and and then it was fine. But no, I think...
I don't think people know that much, no. Like you say, people have a limited understanding. Hole in the heart is the one you come across the most when you're telling people your child's got a heart condition. And thereafter, no, I don't think there's that much understanding out there of the variety of conditions that there might be. I think the other common conversation I have with people, perhaps people we know less well who just are aware Evan's got a heart condition, is they ask, is he all right now? As though there's some kind of end point and it's fixed and he will no longer have any problems with his heart for the rest of his life, which again isn't the case, and people just assume a surgery will fix everything and you'll be done.
Nobody understood about congenital heart defect. It wasn't until my whole group and network of friends, including me and my family, had never heard of congenital heart defect. You hear about bypasses in elderly people, but nobody knew what CHD meant, what it entailed, and it's not until now that everyone that surrounds us is completely aware of congenital heart defects. But
we didn't find that people really knew a lot about congenital heart problems or nothing really. All my friends, when I told them, they were like, when I told them what was actually wrong with their heart, they just couldn't believe that could actually be wrong. I mean, I don't think I knew that much about it.
No.
I'm not going to pretend that I did, because I didn't. When she told, I didn't even know I didn't know hypoplastic left heart syndrome was even something that could be wrong with somebody.
I don't think people did understand about CHD, and interestingly, I don't think they do now, because seeing Harry healthy and how he is, people say, oh, he's fine. And they've said that after every operation. They've said, oh, he's fine now, he's all better. So I think the understanding of CHD is actually very limited.
It was for me. I tend to try and talk quite a lot. I don't know whether that's just a female thing, whereas I talk to my friends about lots of things. I talk to my family about lots of things. I'm quite open. I even remember going into work after our 20-week scan and just telling everybody in the office and saying, I remember walking in, the first thing someone said to me was, oh, is it a boy or a girl? And I just looked quite kind of down and quite sad. And I remember her just saying to me, are you okay? And I was like, no, they've seen this. And I just needed to get that off my chest straight away. And over the years, I have talked to people a lot. I think men maybe don't do that as much. I don't want to generalise.
Maybe, I don't know. I think when people ask, how are things, they're expecting fine as the answer. So when you've got something different to tell them, that can be quite challenging. I think personally, I needed to get that set in my head what the issue was, to be able to communicate that properly to other people. That's not just that, yes, everything's fine, because everything's not fine, and they need to know that. You can't just pretend it's okay when it's not.
Best thing that people did for me when they first found out was just generally just being there, and just every now and then I'd get hi, not hi, how are you, but just were just letting me know that they were thinking of me, and just generally letting us know that they were around for support.
They act normal, but keep on the positive side.
Yeah, all my friends came and brought presents and stuff, and at the time you'd be like, oh, thanks, but now I think, well, it was nice. Everyone was just trying to make it normal for you. And I remember the first thing the doctor said to us when we walked into the room was, congratulations, she's got a baby girl. And then I didn't think much of it, but now I think, well, that's actually a really nice way to start it. And they said we don't say, oh, this is wrong, because I suppose you have had a baby, and it is a nice thing.
I think what friends and family need to do to help is just listen to what we're telling them. We are relaying as best we can what we found out from doctors and so on. And although I appreciate how normal and natural that is to try, and they want to relate any vague experience they might have of their own, or knowledge they might have of their own, that actually we're telling them what is the situation with Evan. That's the only person who we're telling them about, not generally about heart conditions or anything else they might know. This is what the situation is for Evan. Here's the procedures he's going to need to have. This is what that looks like afterwards, and just listen to us and accept what we're telling them is the case, not what they think might be the case.
To help, I think it was for us providing food, which sounds really silly, but just to know that you had a hearty meal when you got home because you're at the hospital so much, and having that routine. The other thing that was important for us, for family and friends, is when we had Joshua, who's our son, who's 4 years younger, when Harry was in hospital, to give him that sense of normality. So his world didn't change because his brother was in hospital. He understood Harry was in, but to involve him in it as much as we could, but to realise that he could still go football and go to rugby and do the things that were normal for him, and that was important for us.